welcome back to the J Life for another episode of Sports Injuries. I'm a biokineticist, and in this show we talk broadly about sports injuries. I'm always joined by my good friend Johann, so I think it's time that we see what he's up to today.
What's up, guys? If you're new to the channel, remember to subscribe.
Johann, what is that on your knee?
What, this old thing? It's an old sports injury. I got a bit of water on the knee.
That's right, guys, so we are talking about knee effusion today. Before we talk any further, I think we need to put Johann out of his misery and just get rid of this water. Does that feel better, Johann?
Much better. I can actually bend my knee now and straighten out fully.
There you go.
Good.
So guys, that's one of the symptoms if you've got knee effusion, is the fact that the bending of your knee and the extension of your knee is quite hindered because of all the swelling. So effusion is just a fancy word for swelling. All right, we get two types of effusion. We get an acute effusion and we get a long-term effusion. So acute effusion is when Johann's walking and then all of a sudden, bah, and someone hits him on the knee, or he gets kicked, or he just twists his knee, and immediately his knee starts swelling as big as a freaking tennis ball times 100.
That's a huge tennis ball.
It's one of those fancy ones that you can get.
Okay,
yeah.
good,
Okay.
good.
All right. It's for the people that don't have good cohorts. They play tennis with that.
Okay.
All right. So if that happens, you need to go see a healthcare professional immediately. All right, because the chances of you actually hurting your knee quite seriously is very, very high. So either ACL, MCL, one of those, PCL even, you could have torn one of those ligaments and you have a big problem. All right. The other one is long term. So Johann's been out, he's been running, and then 2 days after he's been running, all of a sudden he noticed that he has...
I wake up, also water on the knee.
Yeah, so that might mean that Johann has an underlying injury, or he has something that is causing inflammation in his knee. So
irritation or overuse,
Yeah, so one of the main functions of when you get inflammation in a joint is to create effusion, swelling. All right, and that's to protect the joint and to start the healing process. All right, so if that happens, go see a healthcare professional such as a doctor, a biokineticist, or a physiotherapist, and they will then advise you to what are the next steps in the process. All right, but Johann, luckily there is something you can do to prevent this. And what's that?
The RICE method. So rest, ice, compression, and elevation.
That's it. So that's what you can do at home. And then the last thing you can do to try and avoid getting an injury like Johann did right in the beginning is by strengthening your legs. Make sure that you are strengthening your legs, your quads, your hamstrings, around your hips and your core, so that you always have a good strength chain and that you always stay in line and that nothing strange can happen to you, or if it does, it takes much more effort for you to get injured. So that's it from us on knee effusion. Until then,
if you've got any swelling on any joint, go see your doctor. Exercise is medicine, so keep moving.